You think God is judging you, don't you? Watching from above, taking notes of every flaw, every missed prayer, every moment you doubted. But what if I told you? That's not God at all. What if the version of God that most of us carry in our minds is actually a mirror of our own fear? Not the truth of the infinite that loves you without condition? You see, most people were taught to see God through the lens of guilt, a cosmic parent with a clipboard, keeping score. But that image, let's be honest, doesn't set anyone free. It traps you. It makes you shrink. It keeps you apologizing for simply existing. Yet the truth about God, the one that frees you forever, has nothing to do with judgment and everything to do with awareness. I'll tell you what I mean. Imagine for a second that the universe isn't a hierarchy of worth, but a field of consciousness. Not a person in the sky, but the presence through your eyes right now, the breath moving through your chest as you read this. That's not blasphemy, that's intimacy. You're not separate from the source. You're the expression of it. The drop isn't cut off from the ocean. It is the ocean in form. And the moment you stop trying to earn what you already are, everything begins to flow again. I can almost hear you saying, but wait, does that mean anything goes, that there's no right or wrong? Not quite. It means your alignment replaces your fear. It means the voice of love within you becomes your compass instead of a rule book written in stone. Because when you are connected, truly connected, kindness becomes effortless. Integrity becomes natural. Forgiveness stops being a command and starts being your nature. You stop performing goodness and start radiating it. The truth is, God has never demanded your perfection, only your presence. God doesn't need you to deserve love. God is love, and you are the place it's happening. That's the part they don't teach in Sunday school, the radical simplicity of it. You were never outside the garden. You just closed your eyes and believed you were. And when you open them again, you don't find God. You remember. You remember that every act of compassion, every laugh, every moment of stillness was the divine reminding you, I never left. The walls between sacred and ordinary collapse. Washing dishes becomes holy. A conversation becomes prayer. The silence after tears becomes worship. Because freedom isn't about leaving your humanity behind. It's about realizing that your humanity is how God experiences itself. So stop trying to fix yourself to meet God's approval. You're already approved. The light you keep trying to reach is already shining through the cracks of your self-doubt. The voice that says, you're not enough, was never God. It was fear wearing a halo. And you can drop it now. Take a breath. Feel that quiet peace that rushes in when you stop pretending to be separate. That's the truth. That's what has been chasing you your whole life, whispering through heartbreaks and coincidences. Come home. You are safe in me. And maybe, just maybe, that's all God ever wanted. Not your worship, but your awakening. Not your obedience, but your remembrance. So tonight, when the world goes quiet, don't pray to the sky. Turn inward. Feel the pulse of your own being and say softly, I see you. And listen closely, because the universe will smile through your heartbeat and reply, I've been here all along. You've been told that faith is about believing in something out there, somewhere above, beyond, unreachable. But what if faith isn't about reaching up at all? What if it's about looking in? You see, the greatest illusion ever sold was that God lives outside of you, waiting to be found through struggle or sacrifice. But faith, real faith, isn't climbing a ladder to heaven. It's remembering you are never off the ground to begin with. It's trust without evidence, yes, but it's also intimacy without distance. The moment you stop searching for God like an object and start feeling God as a presence, the entire concept of seeking collapses. You don't go to God, you reveal God, like light breaking through a cloud, not from above, but from within. And here's the twist. Faith doesn't mean certainty. Faith is what you hold when certainty dissolves. It's saying, even if I can't see the path, I'll keep walking, because the same intelligence that beats my heart knows where it's leading me. That's not blind. It's brilliance. You've felt it before, haven't you? That moment when something tells you to wait, or to move, or to let go, and later you realize it was perfect timing. That's not coincidence. That's communion. Faith is God speaking in your own intuition, and the more you listen, the louder it gets. You stop trying to convince life to cooperate and start realizing it already is. Because every delay, every detour, every heartbreak, it wasn't punishment. It was choreography. The divine rhythm teaching you to trust your own heartbeat again. So next time you find yourself saying, I don't know what's next, smile. That's the voice of faith growing stronger. You don't need to see the map when you're made of the same energy that designed it. You've probably heard the phrase, God helps those who help themselves. But what if that's not about hustle? It's about harmony. You see, most people mistake effort for alignment. They think God's blessings are wages you earn through exhaustion. But grace doesn't flow through force. It flows through allowing. Picture this. A river doesn't strain to move. It just follows its nature. The moment you stop fighting the current, you're carried effortlessly by what was meant for you. That's what true surrender is, not giving up, but giving in. It's not passive, it's powerful. Because when you stop gripping at outcomes, life can finally give you what you've been asking for. Funny, isn't it? How often we pray for peace while resisting the very stillness that peace requires. The moment you stop demanding, how? The universe whispers, here. That's why miracles never happen when you chase them. They arrive when you relax enough to notice they were always around you. That coincidence, that random text, that intuitive nudge, that's not luck. That's grace moving in disguise. So yes, take action, but do it from alignment, not anxiety. Work with the flow, not against it. God doesn't need your panic. He needs your participation. You are not the doer, you're the doorway. When you open, life enters, and that's when everything changes. You think separation is real, don't you? That there's you here and God somewhere else. But tell me, where does your breath end and the air begin? Where does a wave stop and the ocean start? Separation is the grandest illusion of all. The mind craves edges, boundaries, definitions. But the soul knows no such thing. You are not praying to a presence. You are that presence, expressing itself as a person. The drop never left the sea. It just believed in individuality long enough to experience love. That's why loneliness hurts so deeply. It's not just emotional, it's spiritual amnesia. You've forgotten your wholeness. But even in that forgetting, God is there, waiting inside the ache, whispering, remember me through this. Every moment of longing is the soul trying to find its reflection again. The answer isn't in filling the void, it's in realizing the void is the sacred space where union happens. When you stop trying to bridge the gap and instead dissolve into awareness, something miraculous occurs. You feel everything as one. The laughter, the heartbreak, the silence, all sacred, all divine. That's enlightenment, my friend. Not glowing halos or floating in bliss, but feeling ordinary moments as holy and realizing you are never apart. Here's the truth that breaks every chain. God never needed to forgive you, because God never condemned you in the first place. The guilt you've been dragging was never sacred. It was taught. You were never born broken. You were born blind to your own light. Forgiveness, then, isn't God pardoning you. It's you awakening to who you've always been. That's why the moment you forgive yourself, you feel lighter. You're not changing your history. You're releasing your resistance to grace. Imagine if every mistake you ever made wasn't a detour from your purpose, but part of its unfolding. What if your lowest moments were the exact cracks through which the light got in? That's not poetic. It's cosmic design. You learn compassion by falling. You learn wisdom by wandering. You learn love by losing everything you thought defined you. So stop saying, "I've failed." Say, "I've remembered." Every scar is proof that grace has already touched you. Every regret is a teacher wrapped in disguise. You don't need to beg for mercy. You are mercy remembering itself. And when that realization lands, something quiet and beautiful happens. Peace. Not the peace of perfection, but the peace of presence. That's when you finally exhale and say, "I am free," because you are. You always were. You've been told to fear desire, to distrust what you want as if wanting itself was sinful. But what if your desires aren't temptations, they're directions? What if the things that pull at your heart aren't distractions from God, but invitations from God? You see, desire is divine language. It's how the infinite whispers, "This way." Every time you feel that spark, that longing for more love, more truth, more expression, that's the universe moving through you, trying to know itself in a new way. The tragedy is that we learn to shame those whispers. We call them greed, ego, delusion. But look closely. Real desire never asks you to take from others. It asks you to expand into more of who you already are. The seed doesn't apologize for becoming a tree. The ocean doesn't feel guilty for reaching the shore. So why should you? The more you deny your desires, the more disconnected you become from the pulse of creation itself. God doesn't fear your wanting. God is your wanting, transformed into form, expressed through you. So when you pray, don't beg. Align. Don't say, "Please give me." Say, "Show me how to become the version of me that matches what I seek." Because you're not chasing your dreams. You're remembering them. And when you start living as though your desires are sacred signals, everything begins to move in rhythm again. The right people arrive. The right moments align. Not because you forced it, but because you finally stopped resisting what was calling you home. Let's talk about fear. Not the kind that keeps you from touching fire, but the kind that keeps you from touching life. That quiet, sneaky voice that says, "Stay small, stay safe, don't risk being hurt again." Fear pretends to protect you, but really, it imprisons you in your past. It builds a fortress around your heart and then calls it wisdom. But let me ask you something. What if the very thing you're afraid of losing is the thing fear already stole? Your freedom, your spontaneity, your joy. You see, fear and faith both ask you to believe in something you can't see. One believes in loss. The other believes in love. And every day, you get to choose which one you serve. The truth is, fear can't actually destroy you. It can only distract you from remembering who you are. The moment you stop fighting it and start seeing it, something magical happens. It dissolves. Because fear can't survive in awareness. Try it next time, when you feel that tightening in your chest. Don't run. Look at it. Breathe into it. Say, "I see you. You don't control me." That simple act turns fear into fuel. Because courage isn't the absence of fear, it's faith moving anyway. God never promised you comfort. He promised you growth. And sometimes growth feels like fear breaking open into freedom. You ever notice how life keeps repeating lessons until you finally listen? Different faces, same story. Different job, same frustration. That's not bad luck, that's divine persistence. The universe is the most patient teacher you'll ever have. And every pattern in your life is a curriculum designed for your awakening. You can't skip the class, you can only learn faster. When you resist, the lesson repeats louder. When you understand, it dissolves quietly, like a test you've finally passed. So instead of asking, "Why does this keep happening to me?" try, "What is this trying to teach me?" That one question turns suffering into schooling. Every trigger becomes a teacher. Every heartbreak becomes a mirror. You begin to see that nothing was ever against you. It was all shaping you. Even your pain has purpose. The wound isn't punishment. It's the portal through which light enters. God doesn't test you to see if you'll fail. God reveals you to yourself through experience. Every time you rise, you prove to your own soul that you're stronger than the story you believed. So when life sends you the same storm again, smile. You're not back where you started. You're back where you needed more awareness, and this time you'll sail through it differently, because you've learned the language of the waves. There's a secret about love no one tells you. You don't find it. You become it. You've been searching for it in faces, in words, in fleeting moments that fade just as quickly as they arrive. You've prayed for it, begged for it, maybe even chased it until you were breathless. But love doesn't appear when you chase it. It blooms when you remember it. The moment you stop looking for someone to complete you, you begin to radiate the kind of presence that draws everything meant for you. Effortlessly, magnetically, divinely. Because love isn't a transaction. It's not a trade of affection or a bargain for belonging. Love is transmission, an energy, a frequency, a state of being that flows from the inside out. But here's the paradox. How can you give what you don't yet feel within yourself? How can you recognize divine love in another if you haven't first remembered it in your own heart? That's the hidden lesson most people miss. You don't get love. You remember that you already are it. Every person who walks into your life is there to show you the truth or the resistance. Some will awaken the softness, already glowing within you. They'll feel like sunlight, familiar and warm, reminding you of the beauty you forgot you carried. Others will press the parts you've hidden, the fears you've buried deep. They'll stir your shadows and call out your wounds. But both kinds are sacred. Both are mirrors. Because love isn't here to comfort your ego. It's here to dissolve it, to strip away the illusions of control, the stories of unworthiness, the fear that says, I am not enough. That's why it's so hard sometimes. Because love doesn't always arrive as a gentle whisper. Sometimes it comes as fire, burning away the false so the real can stand. It's not punishment, it's purification. The breaking isn't the end. It's the beginning of expansion. So if your heart has been broken, don't close it, don't armor it, don't mistake the cracking for damage. The pain you feel is simply the space being made for more light. You're not falling apart, you are opening. Every heartbreak, every disappointment, every tear that stings your eyes is clearing what cannot coexist with truth. You're not losing love, you're losing the walls that kept it out. Keep it open, my friend, even when it trembles. Especially when it trembles. Let love in, not as a promise from another, but as a remembrance of what flows through you. You are not meant to be a seeker of love, but a source of it. The moment you stop waiting for someone to deliver it and start living as if it's already within you, the world rearranges itself to meet your frequency. You attract not by need, but by resonance. And when you finally love without fear, without demand, without expectation, something extraordinary happens. You become what God feels like in human form. You become the warmth that heals, the compassion that frees, the light that reminds others of who they are. You don't find love. You remember you are its home. And here we are, the truth that ties it all together. God is not waiting for you in some distant afterlife. God is not a reward waiting beyond the grave or a prize you must earn through perfection. God is here now, breathing through your laughter, pulsing through your tears, humming softly beneath your silence. You don't have to climb a mountain to meet the divine. You don't have to transcend your humanity or escape your flaws. You simply have to descend into the moment, into the breath, into the still point beneath the noise. This, right here, is the holy ground you've been searching for. The now is not empty. It is alive with a kind of quiet electricity, a sacred hum. Every second is a doorway, and every doorway leads home. You've been taught that prayer is something you do with words, but every breath you take is already a prayer. Every heartbeat, every act of noticing, every thank you whispered without a reason. That's communion. You've been chasing enlightenment as if it's somewhere else, some peak to conquer, some secret to unlock. But what if it's the space you're already standing in, the stillness that's never left you, only been drowned out by the noise of your searching? Heaven isn't later. Heaven is a level of awareness. It's not a place, it's a perception. When your mind quiets and your heart opens, heaven reveals itself right where you are, between one breath and the next. You don't go to heaven, you remember it. And the moment you stop rushing through life, grasping at tomorrows, it begins to shimmer through the ordinary. The taste of morning coffee, the sound of rain against glass, the way sunlight hits your skin and disappears before you can name it. That's the miracle. Not that you'll one day see God, but that you can't not. The divine is too vast, too intimate to be avoided. The sunlight on your face, the pulse in your wrist, the warmth of your own breath as it moves in and out. These are not random details. They are the universe introducing itself to you again and again, saying, "Here I am, still here." Even the ache you feel sometimes, that strange emptiness you can't quite explain, that too is God, knocking gently from within, reminding you to look closer. So stop searching for the divine in the clouds. Stop waiting for a voice from the sky. Look in the mirror. Look in the eyes of a stranger. Look in the chaos, the laughter, the stillness. The divine is not hiding. It's disguised as everything. And everywhere you look, the same truth echoes. You are the one you've been waiting for. And when that realization finally sinks in, not just as an idea, but as a knowing that vibrates in your bones, you'll feel it. Freedom. The kind that doesn't depend on circumstance. The kind that doesn't fade when life changes. The kind that was never taken from you, only forgotten. The kind that whispers through eternity, soft as breath, certain as dawn. You were home all along.